And the people who are set in their ways, this is a business platform, are the ones saying, we don't want content like that here, when really it's just the evolution of the platform and we should be embracing that rather than saying it's rubbish.
Hi, and welcome to episode 34 of the Employer Content Marketing Pod. In this episode, I chat with Dan Knowlton. Dan is co-founder of Knowlton Marketing, and I chat with Dan about the role of content creators on LinkedIn. Over the last 12 to 14 months, I've been following a lot of their content, and they really do create content that's very different to what you'd usually expect of a professional network. So we have a great chat. We talk about what great content is on LinkedIn, and also what steps you can take to improve your content on LinkedIn as an individual, but also as an organization. Let's get on with the chat. Hi Dan, how you doing?
Good actually. Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris.
Happy Friday. The sun is shining just about. The weekend is close by, although it is still hard to kind of recognise what day of the week it is.
Yeah, it all blows into one now, doesn't it?
It does. But thanks for taking the time out. I know you're busy. I kind of been following you guys for quite a while on LinkedIn, and kind of actually, dare I say it, I look forward to seeing your content dropping into my newsfeed on. So
thanks.
I wanted to kind of get you, just kind of chat with you about it really, and kind of get your viewpoint about kind of the role of content creators, and actually particularly in the LinkedIn space. So you've been doing some cracking content. So should we start off with a bit of an intro? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Dan. I run a video and social media marketing agency with my brother and co-founder Lloyd. We've been going for 6 or 7 years now. Work with some cool brands like Wall, FIFA, Nestle, Eurotunnel, produce some really creative campaigns that drive a trackable ROI. And what makes us stand out is our approach to producing marketing creative that customers actually get excited to consume, as well as it works and it sells product to them. So that's our kind of mantra of advertainment or entertaining advertising that we focus on. So yeah, and I'm also the co-host of the Business Anchors podcast as well. I need to remember to say that. I always forget to say that.
I'll put a link to it in the episode description, that's for sure. So
brilliant.
Plus also links to some of the videos that you've been doing over years, I'm assuming, but in particular I've seen quite a flurry of them over the last, say, 12 to 14 months. Tell me a bit about that kind of, the kind of videos you have been creating on LinkedIn, and why they've been so popular.
Yeah, I guess the first thing to say is for the first probably 3 years of using LinkedIn, we were crap, and we just shared links to articles and didn't do anything that creative. Okay. So it's only been in the last few years when in 2017 actually, we thought we'd try something a bit different with our content, and we wanted to produce a testimonials video. Our customers sharing nice feedback about working with us, but we knew that would be boring. So we came up with this idea to dress up. My brother and I, we're weird anyway. We're kind of like take the piss out of each other all the time and like to be a bit weird. We're brothers. And we dressed up as different characters pretending to comment on working with us. And we cut the video. So we had clips of our actual customers saying, normal stuff, and then us in wigs and weird outfits saying things. And it was a bit of a witty video. And we thought, yeah, we'll give that a go, see how it works. And we posted it, and it was on Facebook at the time actually. And it got like a few thousand views, 50 or so comments, and we actually got business from it. And that was the first piece of content that was like really, we thought, wow, you can do something a bit creative with this, and it can work. And then from there, we've been testing, and the content you're talking about on LinkedIn is we produce these kind of sketches where we act out relatable situations in the marketing world and poke fun at platforms like LinkedIn and Clubhouse and things. But there's a lot of strategy behind it as well. It's not just weird cat videos. It's strategic content to drive sales for our business.
Well, absolutely. You do it. I like the way you call it out actually during the video. It's like that little wink to camera going, creating funny
funny videos like this that keep people watching, and then there's you or Lloyd winking at the camera when you say it.
Well, they're what we kind of call light bulb moments, and when people reach out to us and say, "I've seen this video, we want to talk to you about working with you," they always mention those light bulb moments, and it's the kind of thing of when someone's watching your content for so long, and you say to them, "Hey, you're literally watching an advert for our business." That's when the light bulb flicks on, like, oh wow, I'm watching advertising that I'm actually enjoying, and that's when the kind of it drops, and people think, oh wow, we could be doing this for our business. So
yeah, absolutely. But what kind of clients are you working with at the moment? When you've taken that approach and applied it to your clients?
Yeah, so we've the whole team, actually, I'm on my own in the office. The whole team are out on a 4-day shoot with a global personal care brand that we've been working with at the minute. Been working with them for a few years. They've actually, when we started working with them, they still are quite a serious brand, serious kind of male grooming. But we actually did a really creative campaign with them back in 2019, where we built this whole man cave and had like a leading character who was playing a traditional bloke, and it talked through a number of different scenarios and ultimately sold the product. But that worked incredibly well. We're working with a Whole Foods company. We've just actually done a really cool promotional video for a virtual event for a huge SaaS company, Hotmart. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that video? That was that was like a B2B campaign that was really fun to do. Maybe you can link it somewhere rather than me just explaining the whole video.
It was really funny. But again, I was kind of watching it till the end. Where I think was it Lloyd, your brother, who actually got rugby tackled by the kind of one of the main characters in the video.
Yeah, we played kind of cameo roles because we knew the guys from the company really well. We played cameo roles, and there was a kind of American footballer guy who takes out my brother Lloyd, who was playing someone who was a boring speaker on stage, and it was reinforcing the point that their virtual event isn't like this. And I think that's what we try and do. We try and reinforce benefits, help overcome objections in creative ways, rather than saying, oh, this virtual event's good because it's not like others. We'll literally rugby tackle a rubbish speaker on camera to show you that it's not like that. It's trying to be a bit creative, because the content, like so much content on LinkedIn especially, is boring. It's like everyone puts their corporate hat on and thinks they have to, wear a suit and stuff, and it's really... yeah, it's rubbish in my opinion, most of it.
No, you're absolutely right. I think there's this thing about one of the sketches you do is about your brother's that character, who says this is not a professional. Oh, this is a professional network. So,
yes.
So
the classic.
What's your view on that? Why do people say that?
Well, I think. When you look at the scope of social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, if you ask anyone about LinkedIn, they'll say it's a business platform, which it is. And it started out as somewhere basically where you put your CV and where recruiters hound you to try and get you to fulfill their jobs. So it started as that, and it's since evolved into something that looks much closer to other social platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where it's actually a platform where people publish content and don't just go to, post their CV. And I think a lot of people don't like change, and a lot of people who are seeing this kind of normal, less corporate content coming over to LinkedIn, they brought video onto the platform. Now they've got stories, and the people who are set in their ways, this is a business platform, are the ones saying, we don't want content like that here, when really it's just the evolution of the platform, and we should be embracing that rather than saying it's rubbish.
100%. I think it's like, I've said it before, I think that LinkedIn, is finally becoming the platform that it was always meant to be. Where actually, I think people who have grown up more with social media are just taking that and naturally applying that to LinkedIn.
Yeah, it is funny though, because like when you look at LinkedIn, the whole LinkedIn community and LinkedIn as a platform is like years behind the other platforms. Like if you think about they're bringing out stories, the vertical video that gets deleted every 24 hours. That came out on Snapchat years ago, and then it came to Insta stories, and it came to Facebook stories. Now WhatsApp's got it, and TikTok, etc. They're only just bringing on these. So it's really interesting because you can see when you post something on LinkedIn compared to other platforms, everyone's like amazed by it. Like, wow, this is so creative. It's like, we were doing that back on Facebook like 5 years ago. So it's interesting how people are kind of behind the times on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. I think it shows that for me, when I see LinkedIn, I think content creators, content creators used to be called influencers, and also still called influencers. I think, yes, those content creators, you have content creators who are on Instagram, they're on Facebook, they're on Snapchat, they're on TikTok. But when it comes to content creators on LinkedIn, I struggle to really find, as the same proportion of content creators as you'd find on the other social channels. So, there's you guys, but also there's the Goat agency, and they've recently kind of revamped their, introduced Goat Studios, and they dedicate a lot of time to content as well. And then also, classic marketeer talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. He, has done it as well, where he, puts out, a lot of video content as well. So why do you think content LinkedIn needs more kind of content creators, and why do organizations and individuals need to take more of a content creator mindset to think?
I think it's the classic thing of people think LinkedIn is a business platform, so you can't go on there as a person and act, non-businessy and talk about things you're passionate about. That wouldn't be something you do on LinkedIn. It's that classic mantra, and the way people think about the platform. But the people who do that, and the people who get it, and the people who do talk about things they're passionate about, show vulnerability, will create entertaining, fun content, emotive content, they're the ones that stand out. And I think it's been way easier to stand out on LinkedIn because a lot of people still are behind the times and don't get that you need to put yourself out there, show your actual personality, and not be really corporate. And, you might be a very serious corporate person, and that's fine. Be a serious corporate person. But I think if you're not, don't. And the people that understand that, embrace that, I know of a pool of content creators who've been doing this for years and smashing it. And it's the way we've grown our business to 10 people, and how now we're working with some of the biggest brands in the world through LinkedIn, through producing content that isn't your bog standard, boring crap, basically.
I'm hoping that actually what's happened, obviously, there's been lots of challenges in the last 12 months, with COVID, but I'm hoping the whole thing about people working from home, I'm in my Liverpool shirt here. Or would I necessarily wear a Liverpool shirt? Would have worn a Liverpool shirt a few years ago going to the offices? Maybe not, but I think there is maybe there's, is it realization perhaps that actually, we can be individuals. We can all of a sudden have your professional self when you walk into an office.
I think my opinion is quite tarnished because I'm in the marketing space, and it's just normal to come in like flip-flops or tracksuits and trainers, and rather than shirts. I think there's certain industries where it's expected, like if you're an accountant or if you're in finance. I don't agree with that, but I was even speaking to a recruitment company that we pitched to work with, a really nice guy, and he told me about when he was quite different because he dresses down, and he went to a meeting and for a potential new customer for them, and the guy literally instantly just turned away and said, "I can't speak to you because you're not dressed smart." And I think in certain industries, people just expect that, and I feel glad that I've got to a stage where I feel comfortable enough I can just wear what the F I want and feel comfortable. But I think when we started out, my brother and I used to wear suits to everything, and we talked about this on the podcast, or the Business Anchors podcast, that there was a correlation between how smart we dressed and how little we knew. So when we started in business, we wore suits everywhere and ties, and we knew nothing, and now we know a lot more and we're more experienced. We wear tracksuits and jeans and t-shirts. So it's an interesting one.
I think when you are more yourself, then actually, when you work with other people and they're themselves, then you're going to naturally have better relations, I think. And if you're trying to put a bit of a sheen on things and not, being someone you maybe you're not.
Exactly.
It doesn't work so well, I think.
Yeah, I think it does take. I think also if you work for another company, like I'm saying this is the boss and I can sort of do what I want, but I think if you're an employee, there probably is some concern there that you don't want your boss and your managers to look at you and think, what on earth are they doing wearing that? They're tarnishing the company brand and things. I think it needs to, for example, we say to our employees, wear whatever you want. Literally, we've got an employee that only wears vests every single day on shoots and everywhere. And yeah, we say that he hates sleeves, but as long as people feel comfortable in their role, they're only going to work harder if they feel comfortable,
And actually that in turn means that if you are taking that more kind of, natural, true to yourself. I don't want to say authentic, but
say
authentic though. It's authentic is if you use it in the right way. It's if you're true to yourself and reflective of how you are as an individual and as an organisation. If you're doing that on LinkedIn, then people are not going to be surprised when they join you as an employee, or if they decide to contact you as a customer.
It's so much easier said than done though, to be authentic. I'm going to say the word authentic and I hate it as much as you, but like all of us marketers are saying to everyone, be authentic, be your authentic self. But like looking back, it's like training a muscle to for someone that hasn't done it. If you'd have seen me making videos on my phone 6 years ago, I was the opposite of myself. I was impossible to be myself because I was so nervous about looking like a tit on camera. So it's easy for us to sit here and say, be authentic, be authentic online. But I think you need to think of it as, not you, I mean, you, the listeners, need to think of it as a muscle that you need to train. You need to practice getting confidence with the content you're creating. I did a talk a few years ago at Atomic on this really cool event in Newcastle, and one of the slides said, you need to make hundreds of shit videos to learn how to make good videos. You need to understand that you'll start today and what you create isn't going to be great and you're not going to be your 100% self. But once you start, an easy place to start is creating stories, LinkedIn stories, Insta stories, because you can get used to speaking to a device on your phone, which feels mental when you first do it because you're just, walking down the street and talking to the device. But it's training that muscle, doing it every day and getting more confident. And then eventually you can even stand in front of a stage of, an audience of people and be yourself, which when you get to that point, and people resonate when you are yourself. It comes across much more natural. And, people never want to watch someone be a bit awkward and sort of not really be themselves, but it's training that muscle.
Absolutely. And I think it also stops you from, having perfection is the excuse to procrastinate, I suppose. It's like it needs to be perfect. And actually, you can take great satisfaction from looking back at something and going, wow, I've come a long way.
We regularly do that. We regularly look back at content we've made 6 months, a year ago. Even whenever we produce a campaign, we're constantly aiming for perfection. So we will look at that and think, we could have done that slightly better next time. We can do that because we're constantly, and I think that's what makes you stand out. We don't want to just get to 99%. We will. When we were we had new team members join recently, and we had to sort of say to them, don't take offense when something is 99% perfect and we give feedback to make it 100%, because that's how you stand out, by going the extra mile and really trying to make things as perfect as possible. But knowing that to get to that, if you've never done it before, there's a whole ton of mistakes you need to make and rubbish content you need to make to lead up to that point.
Definitely, it's just step by classic baby steps, isn't it? Really, I think that's especially when I talk to clients, and so you've got to start somewhere. And so long as you know the direction you need to travel in, in terms of making sure you have the right strategy in place, is actually just start with something, and maybe don't overburden yourself with what you're trying out to start with.
Definitely.
And then, as you say, it's that element of growing that muscle. So in terms of the strategy you kind of you use for Knowlton, particularly on LinkedIn. Kind of how do you get to having those videos on LinkedIn?
So it's a process of it's a process of making rubbish videos to learn how to make better videos. But in terms of the strategy of how are we now producing videos that are driving a trackable ROI, we base our whole framework on a traditional marketing funnel. So breaking it down into 3 core steps of awareness, consideration, purchase, and we map content to that process that a customer goes in from not knowing who you are to discovering you and being aware of you to doing the research to figure out if you're the best solution to their problem, and then to actually buying a product. So we base our content around those different kind of stages. And I guess to get it just takes practice. Like, I think also this is what we do for a living. We produce creative videos. So if you're a company thinking, how on earth are we going to know how to produce videos that are going to drive some kind of trackable ROI? I think if you don't have anyone internally who's an expert in video or knows what they're doing, either hire someone or hire an external agency, because it's going to be very difficult for you to do your own job and learn how to plan, produce, and edit consistent videos on an ongoing basis. So, yeah.
And what kind of feedback do you get when you post these videos? What kind of reach are you getting? What kind of comments, number of comments are you getting? And mostly it's really good. I think we do get tons of engagement, which has helped us. And mostly it's positive. There's always some negative, and I think it's the classic thing that we've spoken about on our podcast before. Whenever there's 100 good comments and 1 bad one, all I focus on is the bad one. Yeah. And I think, what have we done to piss them off? Why are they saying that? What have we done wrong? And it's such a strange thing, because there could be like 500 comments saying, this is the best ad I've ever seen, this is amazing, love it, love it, love it. And then one person saying, even recently on a campaign, I got a private message. I won't go into too much detail because it's a client campaign, but I got a private message to do with diversity of actors, and specifically calling out a certain scene, and it just didn't make sense what they were saying, and we really put a lot of effort into making sure we're hiring diverse actors and things, and it just really got to me. And it was like someone implying that you're doing something to offend a group of people, or and it's just so I don't know if you've got any tips for me on trying to not focus on those negative things, but it's just so difficult not to get drawn to the one negative thing. It's natural, isn't it? Really, I suppose. But then given the reach I'm assuming you guys get, and the level of engagement you get, you're going to be coming across more people, and a fraction of those people will be, keen to dish out their thought, whether it's right or not, really.
I also think because we're not afraid to not be vanilla and to share strong opinions and to, fight our corner of things we believe in, especially on my LinkedIn, I think it is going to, and that's what drives engagement as well. No one who's posting vanilla content that doesn't have an opinion is going to get engagement and comments, because you want people to either agree with you or disagree with you and start a debate or start commenting and having that conversation. So yeah, I think it just comes with the kind of the thing of putting out content that's opinionated, but I think there is a line though. I'm not there saying horrendous things. I try to stay away from certain topics and things, but I definitely have a strong opinion of the marketing space and how I think most marketing is crap. But and I like to kind of talk about but also on the other side, when there is good examples of marketing, I like to shout about that as well. I think we always get, like in the UK, we're just complainers. We love to complain about everything, but we don't, when we see something good, very few people, if they get really good service in a shop, will go to this person and say, can I speak to your manager? I just want to tell them how brilliant you've been. And I've even over the last few years really tried to proactively do more of that, because I feel like that the feeling that person gets from their manager, or knowing that you've actually done something like that, it's unreal. We completely underestimate that amazing internal feeling someone gets from knowing they've done a good job, which sounds so simple, but yeah.
It's true. It's very true. Yeah, I mean, that's that's a whole other discussion, isn't it?
Yes.
But,
So I'm going off on a tangent now.
No, but it's interesting though. It's this thing about I suppose what lots of people have been brought up with is this, just being nice and calling out something when it is good.
Yeah.
As well as calling out something
when it's rubbish.
It's rubbish. What you say, it's really talk about kind of a lot of marketing is rubbish. Why do you think? I mean, we might be touching on some of the stuff you said already, but why do you think so much marketing is rubbish?
I think a lot of marketing is rubbish because the number one objective of marketing ultimately is to drive sales. Like most marketing, ultimately it's to funnel people to buy a product or service. And I think a lot of people go into that strategic meeting of, right, we need to do some marketing. What's the marketing for? It's to drive sales. So let's focus everything on driving sales, right? We're trying to drive sales with this pen. This pen's amazing. You should buy it. It's that traditional disruptive, pop-up ad or advert on TV. Buy this for $9.99. It's really good. And I've always I think I've got this thing, not chip on my shoulder, but something in me that whenever I feel like anyone's trying to pushy sell me something, I get in this mode of I really don't like you, you're annoying me. Or when something's disrupting your experience, even mid-roll YouTube ads piss me off, even if they're good. The amount of times I've seen, it's not Gusto, I'm getting the same ad for this food company constantly, and I'm starting to hate them because it's disrupting my experience and that kind of thing. And I think a lot of marketers go in this with that approach of, we need to sell, let's focus on that. Whereas what we do is we understand, yes, we need to sell product, but ultimately we're trying to convince a human being to do something. So what does that human being care about? What are they interested in at the moment? What are they talking about with their mates? What are they going to find relatable? And we focus on producing something that doesn't just sell stuff, but that the end consumer is watching thinking, this is so cool. I love, this is so interesting. Wow, have you seen that? So that's why I think most marketing's crap. There is lots of good marketing out there as well, but I think a lot of it's
100% right, isn't it? It's this thing about, so where should we be? Okay, there's lots of people on social. Lots of people on TikTok. What do we got to sell? We've got to sell pens. So what do we do? Oh, we
talk about pens.
Talk about pens, and it's just so not the case. And I think, in particularly with employer marketing, one of the reasons I set up this podcast, and one of the reasons I kind of do what I do is I think it's because if you're gonna make sure that someone joins you for the right reasons and shows true ROI, which is fundamentally adding value to the business and delivering to your bottom line, then you better make sure they understand you and you understand them. And is that done just through a job ad? It's not, as much as we'd love it, as much as a creative team would love one bit of content to totally convince them. So I think you're absolutely right.
And I think, just to add to that, one thing, Chris, just because recently we've been on a big hiring spree, when we're the people that shine through are the ones that, and again, you're the expert in this, so I'm sure you'll give me some insights into this, but the applicants that shine through for us are the ones that show that they've consumed our content, show that everything we've done to try and get our personalities out there, to get what the culture's like working here, what the environment's like. They actually comment on that because they've consumed that. And then we're there obviously they need to have the skills and need to fit in with the team, but knowing that they've taken the effort to listen to some podcast episodes or look at our YouTube videos or things on LinkedIn, it really helps people shine through. And I think most people don't do that. Most people read the about page. And when I interviewed for jobs, I never got a job except one after university. Because I just looked at the about page and regurgitated it. What do you know about our company? You were started in 1958, and
dull stuff.
Yeah.
So I think what you talked about is basically when people say in job ads, we want you to hit the ground running. Actually, how can you expect someone to hit the ground running if they don't really understand you? And actually, I liken this to what the Goat agency do. Is that in the same way that when people look at your content who are wanting to join you as an employee, they go, I kind of feel like I know you guys already. And that's what Harry Hugo from the Goat agency said, that when people call out people who are on the daily vlog, And they go, oh, great, I know you, oh, I know you. That's fantastic, you know, and that actually maybe gives you a better chance of hitting the ground running because you feel you're
Feel like
part
you
of
know
the
them.
organisation before you join, and that's the objective, ultimately.
I definitely think we're going to follow in their footsteps in the future and try and involve more of our team in our content, because at the moment it is a lot of Lloyd and I. But as we move forward, we definitely want to get, we've done some with our team, but I like what they do with their vlog.
Your vest guy, I'm sure you mentioned him. I was like, I'm sure I've seen him.
Yeah, Lucas.
Funny, actually. He's cool. He's cool.
Yeah.
So with the I suppose we kind of touched on a few, I suppose, takeaways here, in terms of what people can do to start doing. So not saying that people should listen to this and all of a sudden start doing sketches, but
No.
how can they, like, however you want to say it, turn the dial more towards being more like a content creator on LinkedIn, whether it's for themselves or for their organisation? What takeaways do you think would you give people?
So first of all, I think it needs to come from the top down. So I think leaders in the organisation need to give employees the confidence that they're allowed to do that. Because as we said earlier, I think most are scared that they're going to look rubbish or, say something wrong. I think obviously, especially with bigger companies, there probably needs to be some guidelines on what you can and can't do. You don't want to get the company in trouble and things, but also you want to enable people to be their authentic self. So you need to be communicating that. I think that's the first thing. What else? I can't even remember what the question was. What were the takeaways?
What can people do to really, I suppose, start to be more like a content creator?
Oh, that was it. Yeah. So that's the thing. It starts from the top down. The second thing, stop procrastinating. Stop thinking, oh, I haven't got a good camera, so I can't do that. Or, honestly, just go back on our Facebook page and or our YouTube and look at some of the first videos I did. They were awful. Sounded like the audio was recorded on a potato. It's just, I'm so nervous I can hardly breathe in the videos. Just know that you get, the sooner you get started, the sooner you're going to get to that point of creating content that yourself is, a content creator that's going to resonate. And also, I guess it's trying to move away from that kind of, because I work for a company, I need to be very corporate. And most of the content creators I see on LinkedIn, are not corporate, are themselves, have that confidence to talk about things that they're passionate about, talk about the industry in a creative way. So, yeah,
you're right. Actually, I think I often say I think it's opinion that sells the product. It's not necessarily from a consumer perspective, but I think, if you're an agency, a professional services company, it's the opinion of those individuals in that organisation that ultimately convince clients to join them, but also encourages, I think, people to join them as employees. So I think it's really important to make sure, from an employer marketing perspective, to give people that license to be themselves. So put certain parameters on things, but ultimately, it's, I kind of say, like, the imperfections are perfect. The imperfections, that's okay. Or, what did I say? What was I going to talk about? I think those are, I think, perfect for this kind of thing.
Also, giving them the training or support they need to enable them, and the equipment to be able to produce content as content creators within the company. Because we worked with a large UK-based negotiation consultancy, and we helped them develop this whole LinkedIn strategy where we built up key leaders from within the company and gave them the training and support they needed to show them, how do you optimize your profile? How do you create content? How do you shape copy? How do you make the time to do all of this? And I think giving them the tools they need. So once you've kind of given them the confidence you can do this, here's the parameters, then giving them the tools they need to actually do it will help enable that to happen. And I think leaders in businesses need to really understand the power of enabling your employees to become content creators and to produce content that doesn't just help attract business, but helps attract talent and new employees and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
100%. Nice. So your thing about just pick up that that camera or pick out that mic and just do something. Take this podcast as an example. I wanted to have less reasons to not do it. So it's like, well, okay, you know what? So long as I've got a half decent microphone.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes if I've got to record it on WhatsApp because I haven't got time to do it any other way, I'll do that. Because actually, the audio is not bad on WhatsApp at all. And just do it. And actually, sometimes the audio is not great, but I think it's important to kind of have that cadence, consistency, whatever you want to say. And I've now kind of got better kit.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out my microphone. I'm hoping it's good. You can hear me, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Don't try and put those barriers up.
People need to take a leaf out of your book, Chris.
Exactly. I'll be in my next episode. I'll be giving a step-by-step guide on how to create your own podcast. But you're actually on that. Sorry, the last thing I suppose with your podcast, Business Anchors. So how do you find the time to do that? Because that seems like quite a setup.
We make the time. Since probably 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago maybe, we started to schedule every Thursday in our business is Content Thursday, where we plan, produce, edit, create content, and also work on our business rather than in it. So, and the simple fact is, we won't, or like, an absolute last resort, we'll book client work in, but everyone knows in the calendar it's blocked out. That is a time for working on the business. And that's the only way we've been able to do it, because by telling everyone and ourselves, that's blocked out. We can't book calls. We can't book anything else. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, otherwise you're the agency that spends 100% of its time doing it for clients and not doing it for themselves.
Yeah. And not being, if it's just like, imagine if we were a social media agency saying we produce really creative content for our clients and we didn't do it ourselves. It wouldn't be a good look.
Absolutely. Well, good stuff. No, thanks
Cool.
very much. Really appreciate the time. It's been a good chat. What I'll do is I'll drop in some links to some of the work you've done. Some of the videos you've already talked to, and also the podcast. Give that a shout out, and have a cracking weekend when you get there.
Cool. Nice one.
Cheers, then. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed what you heard, then please feel free to subscribe, and it would be awesome if you could leave a review as well. It really does help.